format with 5 stages on Saturday and another 5 on Sunday. There were 2 main changes to this year's event, the first being that all stages were gravel. Saturday saw a 3 p.m. start, with the first 2 stages being public roads. The following 2 were the same Kinleith forestry stages through to Rotorua and back. The last was the short Aparana Road stage, which included the infamous Greg Todd corner, this time in the opposite direction. The second change was to Sunday stages, which in previous years had been run in the Rotorua forest. This year saw the first public road stage near Waiotapu, starting at 9 a.m, with the following 4 stages in the Rotorua, Kaingaroa and Waiotapu forests. The event had drawn a big field of 96 cars. Stage 1 was 13.75k along Bryce Road. Paddy Davidson and Marty Rostenberg both blasted through this stage to record first equal time of 7 minutes 52, which was a massive 15 seconds quicker than Thurston, Taylor and Cox, who were third equal on 8 minutes 7. Brian Watkin was next on 8 minutes 10, with Scott, Thexton and Easton next, while Todd rounded out the top 10 on 8 minutes 12. Stage 2 was 17.8k, Rostenberg again won the stage with a time of 11 minutes 14. However, he was only 3 seconds quicker than Craig Marshall, who showed his talent by recording a time of 11 minutes 17. Unfortunately, Marshall was to retire in the fourth stage with a broken differential. Third fastest was Lewis Scott on 11 minutes 26, followed by John Stewart on 11 minutes 27, with Will Orr and Davidson on 11 minutes 28. Watkin was next on 11 minutes 31. Eighth equal on 11.38 were Rosser, Stewart and Shane Myers, giving a hint of his talent in his two-wheel drive RX-7. Both Jason Gardner and Ross Meeking suffered mechanical problems in this stage, putting them out of the event. After only 2 stages, Rostenberg had opened up a 14-second gap over Davidson. However, overheating problems caused Davidson to retire after stage 2, leaving Scott second, but 31 seconds behind Rostenberg. Watkin and Orr were tied for third for the 4 seconds behind Scott. three night stages were all won by Rostenberg by margins of 2, 8 and 2 seconds, which left him with a lead of 1 minute 13 at the overnight Parc Ferme. Second overall was Orr, with Watkin only a further 6 seconds back, while there was another big gap of 34 seconds back to fourth placed Scott. Robert Lester was fifth, 17 seconds behind Scott, with Todd only 4 seconds back in sixth. Todd had broken the rear suspension in stage 3, but still recorded third fastest time. Repairs were made in Tokoroa, which allowed him to continue. Stewart was 7th and Peter Day 8th. Thurston was 9th, but had lost around 90 seconds in stage 4 due to a navigating error. The top 10 was completed by Kevin Holmes, who was once again going extremely well in his new Subaru. Others to strike problems were Doug Breeden, who retired in stage 4, while both Taylor and Rosser lost time in stage 3.
TV coverage from the race week.
Sunday dawned fine, but the first and only public road stage of the day was shrouded in fog. It was also race 5 of the America's Cup, the day that Team New Zealand and Black Magic won the Cup. Todd had made further repairs to the rear and with renewed confidence won the stage by 5 seconds from Thexton. Todd had also managed to get around the 90 right before this intersection without drama, whereas the majority of drivers misread it and overshot. Third quickest was Rostenberg on 4 minutes 09, with Lester, Taylor and Green all tying for 4th on 4 minutes 11. Orr and Watkin continued their battle, tying for 7th on 4 minutes 12, while Rosser, Day and Thurston completed the top 10. Stage 7 had once again been won by Rostenberg from Orr, with Thurston and Watkin third equal. Stage 8 in the Kaingaroa Forest was 14.85 k of wide, fast-flowing forestry roads, and once again Todd was flying to win in 6 minutes 10 from Rostenberg on 6 minutes 14. Thurston and Watkin, who had lost a further 6 seconds to Orr in 7, again tied for third on 6 minutes 17, with Green 5th on 6 minutes 21. Orr lost 5 seconds to Watkin this time, recording 6th fastest time of 6 minutes 22. 7th was Scott, Thexton and Stewart, with Day completing the top 10. Stage 9 was 13.15 k through the Waitapu Forest, and while Rostenberg seemed to be heading for his first win, the battle was on for second place. Todd continued his fast pace by winning his third stage of the day in 6 minutes 59. Rostenberg still not slowing his pace, and Watkin tied for second on 7 minutes 03. Thurston was fourth this time on 7 minutes 08, while Orr had lost another 6 seconds to Watkin, recording 5th fastest on 7 minutes 09. Thexton was next on 7 minutes 11, with Scott and Day 7th equal on 7 minutes 13, and Stewart and Green rounding out the top 10. Stage was again through the Waitapi forest, this time 19.75k. Watkin was now only 1 second behind Orr, and he took up the challenge by flying through to win the stage in 11 minutes 22, with Orr managing only third fastest time, 12 seconds behind Watkin. Rostenberg didn't relent on this stage either, posting second quickest time, only 2 seconds behind Watkin, to claim his first rally victory. His final margin was a comprehensive 1 minute 37 over Watkin, with Orr a good third in his new Impreza, 11 seconds further back. Another close battle had been developing for fourth between Thurston, Scott and Day, who had been separated by 21 seconds going into the final stage. Day was the one to go after the place with a vengeance, recording fourth quickest time of 11 minutes 35, which was 20 seconds quicker than the other two, who was sixth equal on 11 minutes 55. This left Thurston fourth overall, but only 1 second ahead of Day, who was in turn 7 seconds ahead of Scott. Thurston's placing left him leading the Wolf Mufflers Series and the Street Skills Rally Challenge. Lester was next, 7th overall, with Holmes producing a steady drive to claim 8th and increase his lead in the Street Skills Rally Scholarship. Stewart was 9th in his naturally aspirated Sierra, while Green rounded out the top 10. Thexton, who had been equal on overall time with Stewart going into 10, was 5th fastest, beating him by 18 seconds to claim 11th overall, with Stewart having to settle for 12th. 13th was Todd, who had been 4th overall on stage times after the end of 9, and not only broke an axle in 10, but had to add lateness penalties to his time. Sean Gray was first two-wheel drive home and an impressive 17th place overall.
Breathe there.